Hey guys, it's your boy Skitty. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. So today's been pretty chill for the most part. Kind of had a weird curveball thrown at me today, but we'll get to that here in a second. Anyway, ended up waking up. Today was one of the days I actually got to sleep in a little bit, but yeah, ended up getting up, getting ready, went down to the bus stop. Things went pretty smooth for the most part. Ended up getting to my group, had neurofeedback today, so I got to watch a little bit of Avatar, the live action series again. That's been going really good. I really like the series. It's been very fun to watch, and caught up on some parts that I missed. I've seen both seasons, but kind of only seen certain parts, not all of it all the way through. So it was really nice watching the show today, mainly for the simple fact that I seen some stuff that I missed. So that was neat, and yeah, ended up having our first group session, and that went really well. I learned a lot about, you know, people's struggles in their addictions and how we, as addicts, have a tendency to do very strange things when we're in our addictions. There was some pretty graphic stuff that was played in our groups, and yeah, I used to be one of them. I looked back on some of my crazy things that I ended up doing for, you know, different types of drugs, alcohol, stuff like that. One in particular story I'll share with you that came to mind is my dad ended up visiting me out in Mesquite, Nevada. And my dad, he smoked pot. He knew I smoked pot at the time. And I had the assumption that he already had some. I had ran out. I was planning on, I just barely ran out, literally. And I was thinking that he was going to already have some because he always had it. So I was like, well, you know, if I have it, cool. If I don't have it, cool. I wasn't really too worried about it. I mean, I was kind of hoping that he would have it so he could smoke me out. But yeah, I literally just barely ran out, and it was my dad. So if he wanted to smoke, it'd be cool. But I didn't want to be the one bringing it in front of him or testing the waters there, sort of say, because with my dad, it was always kind of hit or miss. It was one of those things where he never really liked me smoking, and I always had to fly under the radar, but he knew that I smoked and let me smoke on occasion when I was growing up around him. And it wasn't until later on when he let me do that. So now that I was older and I smoked, I know that he knew. And when I got out there, he kind of assumed the same thing. He was about out. He only had a little bit left. And I ended up telling him, I was like, well, I got a guy. And this was before weed was like completely legal in Nevada, and weed was definitely not legal in Utah. And so I ended up telling him, I was like, yeah, you should have told me. I would have got some before I came down. I was assuming that you were set and that you would have some because he always had it on deck. And he was like, yeah, I'm completely almost out. I got enough to maybe last a night for the night, but I'm about out. I was thinking that you were going to bring some. So yeah, it was one of those things where it was like, let me call my guy and see what's going on. Now, Nevada, they are an hour ahead of us here or an hour behind us here yeah, I think an hour behind us here in Utah. So I end up calling my dude, and my dude is pretty much about to go to sleep. I was like, dude, I'm looking for a bag. I got the money. I'm visiting my dad out here in Mesquite, Nevada. And between St. George and the Gorge, St. George and Mesquite, there's a gorge that you can drive through. It takes about a half an hour, 45-minute drive, hour if you're going slow. But I end up hitting him up, and he's like, bro, I'm about to go to bed, man. And I was like, hey, if you can hook it up, we can make this happen. He said, hurry up, and I just told him I'm on my way. Anyway, I end up getting in my vehicle, and I haul ass to St. George. I am just screaming. I'm going as fast as I can. Anyway, I end up looking in my rear view, and all of a sudden in my rear view, I see sparks and a floop, and I thought that I had a flat tire. I was like, fuck, right? Now I'm seeing these sparks flying off in my rear view, and I'm like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Didn't know what happened. I was just barely crossing the border, the port of entry into Utah. So I was almost there, right, when a little bit before this happened. And so I end up getting to dude's house, and I thought I had a flat tire. I end up getting out of my vehicle, and I look at my tire, and the tire's not flat. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what the fuck? Did something, end up hitting the ground and is sparking or some shit like that? Like, it caught me off guard because I definitely seen mad sparks and heard a noise. Anyway, I end up looking at my tire, and all of the rubber off of my tire on the main part flew off, and all that was left was the mesh on the tire. So anyway, I end up going up to my plug's place, knock on his door, no answer, he's already asleep. Check where he would have stashed it, sure enough, the bud's there. I end up snagging the green, end up leaving his money, have a decision to make. Thinking to myself, I'm like, maybe I should just call it, take the green myself, and connect with my dad the next day in the morning. Just let him know, hey, I got a flat tire or whatever. Not me in my addict mindset. I wanted to party. We were hanging out in the Mesquite, and so I ended up proceeding to drive back to Mesquite on a tire that was just completely mesh all the way around on the main part where the tread was. So I'm going like 30, 40, like 20, 30 miles an hour all the way back from St. George to Mesquite. Like, I'm trying to maintain speed so it doesn't look too suspect, but I am going super slow. That time it took me at least, I think it was like an hour and a half. And I was just white knuckling it the whole way, just tripping balls. Like, don't let me get a flat, don't let me get stuck, right? Anyway, I end up making it back, end up getting to my dad's room. We end up smoking. I tell him the story, and he's like, yeah, you would have been fine if you just wanted to stay. It wasn't that big of a deal. I had enough weed to last me for the rest of the night. You know that. I was like, nah. Like, I wanted to party with you. That was the whole idea. I wanted to have enough, that we would have enough to smoke for over the night until the next morning. So anyway, next morning comes rolling around. Of course, I have a flat tire. My dad ended up paying for it, but it's just one of those crazy ass stories of like what you'll do in your addiction. And it's not like it was like crack or some shit, it's just a bag of weed. But, it was just one of those crazy, funny stories where it's, basically what we learned today is, a lot of us, when we get into recovery, me included, we forget to focus on our recovery as opposed to our addictions. With me, I ended up bringing it up in group that a lot of it, I feel, falls into the category of loyalty. I've been loyal to drugs and alcohol ever since I was 13, 14 years old. I have been programmed by multiple outlets, be it TV, music, friends, the whole gamut, right? Where smoking and drinking is okay. And the other drugs I've dabbled with, but I never really had too big of a problem with it. I mean, I had my moments where I was like pretty addicted, but I've never had a problem getting off of it. I mean, yeah, the come down suck and everything, but I've been really good on that. But with weed and alcohol, that's been my MO for the most part. Where now in Utah they have legal medical marijuana cards, and of course I got one. And alcohol, you can get that at a gas station anywhere. Local stores sell it, so when the government's given me the green light, my whole entire, youth life, it's been like, no, no, no. I've had to go to juvie before. I've had to pay multiple fines and do prime for life classes and stuff like that. And now they're saying 75 to 150 bucks, I can get a card and I'm good to go. And as long as I don't drink and drive, I'm okay. You know, that's not something that I need to hear or adhere to. I can't touch it. I honestly can't touch it even if I wanted to, because I'm just going to spiral right back out of control and turn into the old me. I'm willing to accept that now. It's a humbling experience, call it what you will, but definitely got to keep my eyes on the prize and be loyal to my sobriety and my recovery first, as opposed to being loyal to drugs and alcohol and the party scene and everything like that. I consider myself a pretty loyal person for the most part, especially with things that I care about and I love. Anyway, later on, we had our alumni group, and it was kind of a weird situation because I ended up running into somebody that I used to know. Definitely was kind of an awkward situation, but at the same time, it was bittersweet. It was sad seeing the individual, in recovery and dealing with the struggles of life. I get it. I completely understand. I'm currently going through it myself and have been through it multiple times. But to actually see that individual stepping up to the plate and trying to better themselves and become a better person and working on their recovery, that makes me very happy. That brings a lot of joy to my heart, I guess you would say. And in our alumni group, we had a lot of amazing shares, a lot of people, it was based on forgiveness. And a lot of the shares were amazing. And I ended up, sharing myself. And it felt healthy, but I'm currently on my step 8 in my program. I did all the reading and everything like that, but I'm now currently at the part where I'm writing down names of the people that I need to make amends to, the people that I hurt in my addiction. And I am, for the most part, very forgiving with anybody and everybody that I run into. Are there a couple of resentments that I have in my life? Yeah, very few. I want to say like maybe 1 or 2 people I don't really want to associate with. I don't like. They're not my friends. They're not my people. Like that. It is what it is. Not holding a grudge or anything like that, or don't wish them well. Not at all. Like I do wish them well. I hope they're okay, but they're just. I don't think I'm their cup of tea, and they're not my cup of tea. I don't want nothing to do with them. I wish them well, but I just don't want nothing to do with them. Call it what it is. But I want to say like 98% of the individuals that I've ever had problems with, I've let that go. Like I don't like carrying negative energy with me. I don't like having resentments. I'm very quick to forgive, and I'm very quick to just let bygones be bygones and move on. That way we can keep the peace and just be happy. But it's kind of a weird situation when the ball is put in your court and you're on trial, because I can't control people's emotions. I can't think for them. I can say I'm sorry to any and every individual that I've ever hurt or let down, but it's kind of a hit to the pride and a hit to the ego when I start thinking about who I've hurt, what I've hurt, what companies I've worked for, people I've let down in my addictions, and just being young and dumb, and having to see them go through any kind of negative emotions to me because of my actions. I don't like putting that atmosphere out there. I don't like putting that vibe out there. I don't like that about myself. And I am trying to better myself. And if I have made you feel some type of way or hurt your feelings, I do apologize for that. And I do wish everybody the best. And on that note, I love you guys. Thank you for stopping by and stay blessed.